Well, let me ask you this, George. When you are looking at the state of play right now, do you believe we've made progress? And what's your biggest question going forward?
Well, we have made progress since that New York Times story 2017. Congress has shown it's interested in the topic after being hands off for more than 50 years. Major media at least dabbled in it for a while, now have pulled back. The academic community has come forward. Some people have stepped forward bravely and said, we want to look into this. So, yeah, there's progress being made. But, you know, the keepers of the secrets, the folks who are manipulated this topic for almost 80 years now, are better at their job, I would dare say, than you and I and Jeremy are at ours. They have a lot of tools at their disposal. We've seen some of it come out in the last couple of days in national media accounts that muddy the waters, that confuse the public. They've admitted what we've all known for a long time, that they've lied to the American public, that they've lied to Congress. Now we know they've lied to their own military personnel, made up stories, propaganda. It's disgraceful. But now a lot of it is out in the open, so I would call that progress.
Jeremy, I was crestfallen when the Trump administration came in and they told us, we're going to tell you what Biden wouldn't tell you. And then they gave us the same answer about what was in the air over the military bases and other places on the East Coast and elsewhere. How do you explain that?
I don't even attempt to explain that. I just know that the true transparency on this topic is going to obviously come through good journalism. And that's what George and I are focused on, is bringing forward whistleblowers like Matthew Brown and the Immaculate Constellation information, as well as just bringing forward, if we're lucky enough, military film footage of UAP. This is what we've been doing. We believe this to be the path forward. I'm not going to rely on anybody else to help us move this ball forward. I just think the public needs to fight for it.
George, when you look at this issue as a function of transparency, you say the people who are the keepers of the secrets, these days they use the word deep state. In these years of researching this, what is your best reckoning of who we're up against and what they're about?
It's a combination of Department of Defense folks, intelligence agencies, defense contractors. I think it's probably a small group of the people that really know what's going on. And even they probably don't know the big picture. You know, Jeremy and I have been pretty far up the food chain over the years, me even longer than him. And I have never met anyone who really knows the true story. I've run into a lot of people whose job it is to confuse the public, to muddy the waters, to slip out propaganda, as we've seen over the past couple of days and over many years. You know, I don't know what the big answers are. Like you, Chris, I'm not expecting to meet aliens. I don't believe in aliens. I was attracted to this story because of the paper trail of documents, memos, reports that were shared within the Department of Defense and CIA and other agencies before the Freedom of Information Act became the law. And in those reports, it shows they were saying, hey, this is real. It's not imaginary. It's not fictitious. It's real. It's not us. It's from somewhere else. We need to figure it out because there are national security issues involved. 1953, the Robertson panel gets together for CIA. They spend 6 hours over 2 days looking at UFO evidence, and they decide UFOs are not a threat to national security, but the reporting of UFOs is a threat. And we need to strip it of its aura of mystery. We need to debunk it. We need to use ridicule. And that's pretty much been the policy of the U.S. government ever since. And it ticks me off. It's what got me hooked on the topic. They're telling the public one thing. They're saying something behind closed doors to themselves that is far different. And it makes me angry.
And Jeremy, this was part of our bond, right? Is that when I first came to NewsNation and I started reporting on this, media came after me about it. They'd mock me. They'd say, oh, man, he's doing anything he can to get ratings. And as George just said, I'm not looking to meet little green men. I mean, I'm open to it. The arrogance of thinking that this is the only planet in a universe that is constantly expanding. You know, I think there's an arrogance in that to believe we're the only ones that figured out carbon-based life. But let's put that to the side. They think they don't have to tell us what they know. And to me, it's a metaphor for what we've seen in so much of government in recent years.
It's way more sinister than that. It's not just that they don't think that they need to tell the truth. They're intentionally muddying the waters with misinformation and disinformation. If you looked at the ridiculous and sinister Wall Street Journal report, then we're supposed to believe that we didn't need a Manhattan Project to win the war. We didn't need the Apollo mission to put us into space because this is all some sort of government cover-up. The new conspiracy, Chris, is that UFOs are not real. That's the new conspiracy, the baseless conspiracy.
George, what do we need to know?
Well, one thing we know is they're never going to give this up. I mean, it's pretty clear. These recent reports that have been issued by Arrow and now the repeated media statements by the former Arrow staffers, there's nothing to it. There's no information. There's no proof. It's stuff that we made up. It's disinformation that we spread out there. We created the story about Area 51. We created the story about nukes being disabled. That's all us. All the technology that people have been seeing in the skies around the world on every culture, every continent throughout human history, that's us. It's preposterous. It's ridiculous. There's no way we could ever accept it. But Arrow has made it clear they're not going to give this up. They're not even giving it up to Congress. I admire the people who've been pushing the ball down the field in Congress, but they've been manipulated on this topic as well. There's always something more pressing for members of Congress, for the public, you know, a job, your mortgage payment, your family, bills for Congress. There's Ukraine, there's Gaza, there's the stuff in LA that's unfolding right now. Always something more pressing than UFOs. So the people who tell these lies get away with it.
I have the same question for both of you. And by the way, you know, everybody in common parlance now uses Area 51. That was George Knapp that brought that into the recognition of the rest of us. George, if you were to meet the man, okay, in quotes, and the person who knows, what would be the three things that you would want answers to?
I'd like to know ultimately where they're from and what their intentions are regarding us. Are they interested in us? Where they're from? Are they interested in us or the planet more than us? Number two is, why the secrecy? I mean, I could see it in 1947. We just come out of World War II. The world's a mess. Do you need to share that with the public and tell them there's another intelligence more advanced than us? Well, why the secrecy now, though? You know, number three, if the technology is being tested in secret in some hangar somewhere, what do we need to get it done? Can we ever master it? And are the national security implications legit? Because there is a race for this technology. Us, the Russians, the Chinese, maybe the Israelis. How do we ever separate the UFO technology from national security concerns that would allow some president to step up to a microphone and say, we've been lying to you, here's the truth?
What can you add to that, Jay?
I just would have one question. You know, what made you look beyond your orders and not follow your oath? Like, what made you do this? Keep this from the American public. What is so scary to you that you are holding this back from the American public and hurting people's lives? That's what I really want to know. It's more of a human question about the secrecy of UFOs. I'm done with it. The American public's done with it. And I hope we crack this egg as soon as possible.
What do you think the watershed moment will be, George? What do you think has to happen that hasn't yet?
It's got to be a whistleblower who comes forward with a piece of something or some video evidence, something irrefutable. Or it has to be them, whoever they are, wherever they're from. I mean, they're the real architects of the secrecy. Wherever they're from, they've been here a long time. They could make themselves known in some irrefutable kind of a demonstration. They haven't done it. We get little glimpses, little bits and pieces, a look here, a look there, but they started the secrecy, and our government is happy to exploit it.
For me, Jay, you know what I think it's going to be? Advantage. One of these two poison parties is going to realize there's something in this issue for them versus the other one, and they'll go all in down that road. That is my suspicion of why it didn't change from Biden to Trump. It didn't kill the Democrats for Trump to come out with whatever that they were going to come out with. The same way that it wouldn't have killed Trump for Biden to expose whatever it is. And these cats are all about advantage, never about advancement of anything but their own aims.
Hope you're right.
Look, if we still have freedom of journalism, then we're going to push as hard as we can to reveal to people the best evidence that we have. That's our mission. That's what we're going to do. We're going to practice journalism.
Jeremy, I love you. Thank you for being here. You're always welcome. I appreciate the work that you're doing. George Knapp, I got to tell you, I'm so happy that I finally got a chance to speak to you. And I respect that you do the hardest part of the job that I love so well, which is you find a way to tell what people don't want told. And thank you for that. Thank you for your example, and thank you for your continued efforts. If I can help you guys in any way, at any time, I'm a call away. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.